You're immortal. How?
You said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the movie calendar. My name is Leigh.
And my name is Terrence.
And this week for episode 20, we're going to be talking about the 10th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. Volume 1.
Volume 1. Whenever my son watches Volume 2, he calls it Guardians of the Galaxy Vol 2.
Oh, that's cute.
Vol 2.
We're like 20 seconds into this recording and my dog is already lapping at the water bowl.
And we've already started talking about the sequel to the film we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, perfect. This is going beautifully.
Oscar is allowed to make as much noise as he wants. He has a beautiful, beautiful temperament of a dog. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he's fine. He can be my little rocket raccoon for this week's recording.
Oh, I like it. I like rocket raccoon. Yes. Okay.
Now, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube this week, there's a couple of special little Easter eggs, visual Easter eggs that are going to be dotted around on my side of the screen. One of which is very obvious, or a couple of which are very obvious at the moment. One being my shirt. Another one is on the bookcase behind me is a Guardians of the Galaxy book.
You can't just announce what the Easter eggs are.
I haven't said what's on my shirt.
Oh, okay. Fine.
And
you can kind of see it.
Technically, my shirt is a Volume 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 shirt, but that's okay.
Easter egg spoilers.
Yeah. But no, I've got a couple of other things that I will touch on throughout the episode as well, because there's a couple of really cool stories that I've got with this particular film, which I can't wait to share when we dive into it.
Cool.
But no, do you have anything that you would like to talk about, Terrence, before we get started? I actually would like to, jumping in before you, have you got a spare battery for your light this week?
I do. It's right here. It's a big bad boy. It is good.
Perfect.
And it's there. It is full. But so is the one that's in my light. So we'll be good.
We'll see.
Good. I quite like mood lighting though. Like with one light out, it was pretty. What is it? A very contrasty shot.
Very dramatic.
Really, really moody, dramatic. Yeah, maybe for the next film we do, maybe I can do that.
Oh, maybe yes. Very excited for next week.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say for those playing along at home for the last few weeks, we have been actively letting you know what our last film for October 2020 is going to be, just to give you a chance to watch it and absorb it before we talk about it. And if you're not sure what it is, I'm not going to say it right now. You can wait until the end of the episode. It'll pop up. If
you haven't looked at Insta already, you'll know.
Yeah, it'll be on Instagram. It'll be on our Twitter. We are at the Movie Cal. There are time codes in the description below if you would like to jump to see what next week's film is going to be. And we're going to be recording that one very soon. So pretty soon after this one drops. So if you haven't got in your hashtag whataboutwhens or your idea for a date on the calendar, do that sooner rather than later.
Otherwise, you're just stuck with ours.
Exactly.
Our what about whens. I don't have anything to really chat about with this before we actually get into the film, except for I thought this was a fun film to watch, and a really nice one to kind of. I actually felt separated from the Marvel world watching this. If that makes sense. I'm not a big MCU, which is a new term that I've recently learned. Marvel's
look at you go,
kind of person. But, knowing Thor and Ragnarok, I watched that, and obviously Iron Man. This one, I totally was able to step outside of it and enjoy it almost as an independent film with only a couple of references that someone outside of the world realized. So, I enjoyed this on its own merit without needing to be wrapped up in the history of what it means or what piece this played in that whole puzzle. Really enjoyed it. I love Chris Pratt.
He's so good. The entire cast of this film is fantastic, and we're going to get into that. That is the hugest compliment that you can pay to a film like this, or to a comic book movie that's part of this giant franchise, is for it to feel like its own individual piece of art and cinema. And there's a lot of those dotted around in this franchise, which is super nice. Like literally, this film comes off the back of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which a lot of people know it's this like kind of suspenseful political thriller, directed by a couple of TV directors at the time. You know, the Russo brothers, who ended up doing Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame and Civil War and some of the literally the biggest movies of all time and the biggest movie of all time. But yeah, it's just they were at a point in their career with Disney, who ended up buying Marvel years before this. They kind of had a bit of a rough patch where their leadership structure wasn't fantastic, and then they kind of became their own separate division and got to make a lot of their own decisions themselves without having to kind of check with the higher ups, and this is where you start to see it pay off when you're getting directors like James Gunn and the Russo brothers coming in and obscure choices happening. This is the first screenplay for a Marvel film that has a woman as a writer on it as well, Nicole Perlman. And yeah, so there's lots of little things that are in the history of Marvel, which I'll get into a little bit this week, talking about leading up to this film and how this was quite a risk for Marvel to do.
Just before I said that I watched this and it was seen by me as an independent type film, and even though I'd seen Ragnarok before this, I don't watch them when they all come out. But was Ragnarok written or released before Guardians Volume 1?
No, so that was well and truly after, very much after.
Man, I'm so out of touch with
this one. Yeah, no, that's
sorry
that's
everyone
fine.
Listening that's a fan of this universe.
I think Ragnarok was probably the 17th or 18th film to come out in the MCU, whereas this was the 10th. So without this film, there is no Thor Ragnarok with Taika Waititi directing. Like it doesn't happen. James Gunn paved the way for that film.
Oh, good. This is a good way paver.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome. Cannot wait to get into it. So without any further ado, we are here for episode 20, James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, starring Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, and the introduction of Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Oh, really?
This was the first film that he was in that performance capture capacity.
Was Thanos represented by anyone in any other previous films? Or?
He was, yeah. I can't remember the actor's name, but in the post-credit scene for the Avengers, he was shown at that. And that was the 6th film in the MCU, and where a creature kind of the other stood up, who's in this film, who's Thanos' sort of lackey.
Yeah,
who gets his head turned around by Ronan the Accuser.
Yep.
And he's like, we shouldn't have fought Earth to go against them, as to court death. And then Thanos stands up out of his chair and turns around, doesn't say anything, and it's a make-up job. And yeah, I'm not sure who the actor was who portrayed him, and he just smirks and smiles, and that's the first time you actually saw him. And this is the first film where he speaks and is properly cast. And yeah, so that was huge. Like at the time, you know, for fans of this stuff, like that was just such a huge moment, seeing him for the first time and hearing him speak.
Really?
Yeah, massive.
Cool. Because everyone knew already what he was, what he meant. Yeah. Okay. Whew.
Yeah, it was cool. There's so many things in this film that has made fans go crazy who are following this stuff. But without being detached from it being just a really good like standalone film that you can enjoy whether you know the history or not. Like it's a really well balanced film. Yeah, which is super cool, and a lot of that has to do with James Gunn. Yeah. Are you familiar with much of his work pre this at all? No,
I can't say I know. If you ask me, list any James Gunn directed films, I would draw blanks. I have no idea. But if you mention them.
Well, he was more known as a writer than as a director. He directed a few things, but his writing is where you would probably know him best from. Such affairs as Scooby-Doo. Have you seen any of the Scooby-Doo films?
Is that about some bad crockery? Don't know. Some serving utensils?
No, where are you getting this? Where's this going?
Scooby Doo. Sounds like a ladle.
Goodness. That's gross.
So he
That
wrote
is so
Scooby Doo.
gross.
He was a writer on Scooby Doo.
He wrote Scooby Doo. The
One
films.
of the films or one of the cartoons?
The films. He wrote the movies with Freddie Prinze Jr. and
I did watch half of one
Yeah.
of them. Yeah, that's wow. I don't know if that's a good credit.
and he also
I don't know.
he also wrote the remake of Dawn of the Dead that was directed by Zack Snyder as well, which is regarded as a pretty good piece of cinema.
I think I saw that one. I think that was one that made me want to go fire a real gun for the first and only time that I have in my life. Because I thought if I ever find myself in a zombie apocalypse and I get locked into a big artillery room with guns and ammo, I would not know how to, one, load a weapon or two, fire one. So that film led to me firing a weapon at a tree and a filled up milk bottle on a very large property with no other people around it, with a very safe person helping do that. Is that the right term? I don't know. I'm tangenting.
Good.
Sorry. Let's get back to the film.
No, that's fine. So James Gunn's background was more in the horror world. So he had a very heavy hand in horror. Loves that kind of shock horror and humor in there as well. Hence Scooby Doo. Exactly right. You know, those ghosts are scary, man.
Yeah. So, all right.
But he also directed a film called Slither, which is a cult classic within that world. I actually haven't seen it. It is on my list of films to check out. But there is a Slither reference in Guardians of the Galaxy as well, because that was the film that kind of put him on the map as to being like, oh, okay, like this dude knows what he's doing.
Wow. Well, when I was, just before the episode, I get IMDb up and I look at the actors' names just so I'm not babbling too much more than I usually do. And I looked at Michael Rooker, who plays Yondu, and he has Slither as a movie title that he's known for. So, all right. So there are some nice collabs going on.
James Gunn loves to keep things in-house a lot, like work with the same people that he knows and trusts and get alongs with. Like, the thing about a film set, right, is you're doing long days with the same people. Like, if you don't get along with the people that you're working with in these tight spaces, it's not fun. So yeah, he likes to keep people around who are going to be good on set.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk more about continued things. Let's keep going.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I make that sound like we're not talking about it. Of course,
I really respect the decision that Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, made with hiring James Gunn. It kind of it showed everything you needed to know in that decision right there. It was like hiring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Iron Man.
So it was a bit of a risk.
It told people who knew that this was going to work. This was going to be okay. It seems like a bit of a weird choice, but it's gonna work. And James Gunn didn't want to do it originally. He went in for the meeting thinking, "Oh, I'll have the meeting. It'll be fine, and then I'll leave." And then after he sat down with Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, he said he went home and he just wrote pages and pages and pages of ideas for this film. So much so, just with the idea of handing it over, being like, these are some things that you should do. And when he got through all of it, he wrote 20 plus or 27 or however many pages it was. And at the end of it, he was like, I have to make this movie.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a real passion project for him. And so after that, he fought for it.
So it's a real sci-fi action comedy. That's how I see this. So a real step away from what he'd be used to. If it was horror and thrillers that he was kind of having his hand in. But I guess Scooby-Doo would have let him play a little bit. A really playful film where he gets to play with special effects and a bit of overacting and a lot of comedy writing in that. At least the comedy writing in this was funny. I did watch Scooby-Doo with my kids, with one of them. It was one of those, okay, I'm your dad, I'll watch it with you. Oh, man. If I wore a watch, I would have been in that film doing this. But,
leaps and bounds.
Terrence looks at watch. Yes, for those on the podcast. Look, I think it's great that they took a chance because this is a winning film. I love it. I love it. I haven't seen Volume 2. Does he direct Volume 2 as well?
Yeah, he's back for Volume 2. And at the time of this, Volume 3 hasn't been released. It has been announced. He is back writing and directing Volume 3.
Great.
After a little bit of turbulence there where he kind of got fired and rehired again. But we're not going to get into that. I'm just very happy that he's back.
All right. Beauty. And his brother was in this as well, right?
Yeah, Sean Gunn plays Kraglin, the Ravager, and also does the motion capture on set for Rocket Raccoon.
That's pretty cool. That's
awesome.
What a cool gig to have. I wonder if he's a motion capture actor anyway,
No.
if he does that kind of thing.
No, he liked the character and thought he could bring something to it. He actually, a lot of the lines in the film were improvised of Rockets by him on set that then Bradley Cooper went on to say in the recording studio later on.
Nice. He's the is he not co-pilot, like second in command of the Ravager ship? That's who he is, right? That's his act. Yeah.
He's
character?
he's Yondu's kind of right-hand man. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I found it really hard going off a little bit here, to picture Bradley Cooper whenever I heard Rocket Raccoon talk.
It doesn't sound like him at all, does it?
No.
It's so great.
Is it Rocket Raccoon or just Rocket? How do we refer to this character?
His name is Rocket.
Okay. Yeah, because he doesn't know what a raccoon is, right? He gets reference to a raccoon and he goes, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, because they say, "No, what's a raccoon?" He said, "What's a raccoon? You are stupid." And he's like, there's no thing like me except me.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, because he was obviously taken. He's an alien creature that was taken and experimented on, and cybernetic enhancements, and he's been tortured and taken apart and put back together, and he's got a really sad backstory. He's actually James Gunn's favorite character and the one that he relates to the most, just because he's just been broken and fixed so many times.
Yeah.
And so he was able to really relate to Rocket in that regard.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, really sweet. I got little things like that on all of the characters in here, which I was going to do them as a section, but I might dot them throughout, make it a little bit fun.
All right.
But James Gunn had such a hard task with this film, because he was bringing the Marvel Cinematic Universe to space. Like we'd never seen space before, except for in Thor, which was kind of science and magic. Like but most of that film was on Earth. Like this was the first proper being in space film, and so he got to set the stage as to what it would look like going forward. And he did such a good job that it's like that is what space has looked like for the entire cinematic universe. You look at, Thor Ragnarok and like Captain Marvel and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, Doctor Strange. They all take elements and visual storytelling elements from this film. It was no easy feat, but he was up for the challenge.
Yeah, I like the overall design of these things. The ships are really cool. The planets, the worlds that they go to are nice, and they don't go into any extra explanation in terms of how they get here, how far away this thing is. It's like space. Jeez, if they can get into space and move around, it doesn't matter how they get from one side to the other, which dimension they're in. You kind of expect all this intergalactic, interdimensionary, am I using that word right? Travel. So it's good that doesn't need to be explained, and it doesn't even try to. Some films, too many films try to do that and get lost in that, and that's where you start questioning how real it seems. So,
it's space. We've got a talking raccoon and a giant tree that walks and talks. It's
they
fine.
Didn't need to. They didn't need to or feel the need to do any of that. So it was, what I'm saying there is it's easy to digest and it's easy to accept when you're treated with an intelligence where you don't need to be spoon-fed everything.
And so there were so many people online when this movie came out that were like, how did Star-Lord's Walkman's batteries last that long? And it's like, are you serious? Like, this is a space opera.
Yeah. Look, it's little things like that you get over pretty quickly. Usually I get bugged by those things, but I think the comedy in the film and the way that he played it, I'll let him have it. And it's space, I'm sure he was able to change. No, I don't know.
Exactly. Like they have crafts that can travel at the speed of light. Like they can make the Walkman work. This little Earth product, it's fine.
Is there a scene where batteries fall out or something?
I don't know. There's not.
There isn't. Good, yeah, because I think that's what I was looking for. I was looking for an excuse to bust this one, but they don't make reference to it. So he just pops some weird cell in there and it plays. I'm more interested in the fact that the mechanism keeps turning.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And he didn't have any pencils on the ship.
I know, to wind the tape back on.
I mean, that would have to be a must-have tool. It's a ship with tools on it to repair it.
I reckon he was taken.
Important thing.
He was taken to Earth when he was a kid, right? Like 8 years old or however old he was. He had a backpack on. I reckon he had a pencil in that backpack.
Taken from Earth? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I completely forgot how this film opened. Like, it had been a couple of years since I'd seen it. And I completely forgot about the opening scene with his mum.
With his mother?
Yeah. Like, I was like, I wasn't quite ready for that. I just remember him being on the planet Morag and him dancing to his music while he's trying to find the power orb and
the scene that comes over the credits. It's almost like that's the beginning of the film.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, and this is how much of a nerd I am for this stuff, but when what was it? The Winter Soldier was out in cinema still. It was out a few months before Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It came out in like March, April or something like that. And then Guardians of the Galaxy came out in August. But it was still in cinemas leading up to Guardians. And there was certain screenings that you could go and see at select cinemas, here in Australia at least, where you would be able to watch the opening scene from Guardians of the Galaxy would be at the end of Captain America, the Winter Soldier. And so I would pay to go and see the movie Captain America again, which I'd seen a few times already, just to watch the opening scene of Guardians, and it was him dancing in that whole bit all the way up until when he jumps into his ship and flies away. I got to watch that.
And that opening scene included the hospital?
It didn't. It wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah, and nor were the title cards or the names of anyone either. It was just the scene.
Ooh, all right. That's nice. That was a great introduction to Star-Lord as well. I think that that was the first. Look, the song was the first taste of a lightheartedness to this film.
Yeah.
When he pops the Walkman in as well and starts dancing and kicking those space rats out of the way. But the whole interchange that he has, the exchange he has with Ronan's. Are they Ronan's goons that come for him?
Yeah, that's Korath.
Korath with the cool goatee. Cool double goatee. That was really well played. And look, I think I've mentioned it before. I'm a huge Parks and Recreation fan, so seeing Chris Pratt in this film, I actually saw this before I started watching Parks and Recreation. So seeing Chris Pratt in this film, I just thought, wow, this is a cool actor. And then I started watching Parks and Recreation. I thought, no way.
Yeah.
No way, this is incredible.
That fat guy is Star-Lord?
Yeah, and it was, a few seasons in where he makes reference to him losing the weight in Parks and Recreation. All he does is saying, I stopped drinking beer. I lost 50 pounds. That's it. And it was the first episode of the season where he was actually, he just finished filming, or they were still filming Guardians. I can't remember. But anyway, it was a really nice, almost a homecoming of long lost friends when I started watching Parks and Recreation and realized he was in it. I'm like, oh, yes, I love it even more.
It's like, this is nice. This feels nice. Yeah, whilst we're here, I've got a fun fact for Pratt. While we're dotting them throughout, but no, he almost wasn't cast purely because James Gunn didn't want to audition him. He was like, I'm not auditioning, and this is a quote from him, the fat guy from Parks and Rec. Like, he's just, he's not my Star-Lord. And they had some amazing actors come through and read for the part as well. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt was up for the role. A bunch of cool people. And Sarah Finn, who is the lead casting agent or casting director for the Marvel films, was like, no, you have to see him, and kind of snuck him into the auditions. And within minutes of being in the room, James Gunn was like, that's Star-Lord.
Oh,
so much
cool.
So much so that he was like, you don't even have to lose weight. Like, I will CGI a six-pack onto you. Like, it doesn't matter. We've got the money. We're Disney. We've got all the money in the world. Like, it's fine. And Chris Pratt said, give me 6 months and I'll lose 50 pounds. And he lost 60.
Wow. Well, give me 6 months and a lead role in a Marvel film where I can stop my entire world. I will have a couple of packs there as well.
Yeah. I love him in interviews where they're like, what did you do? How did you do it? And he's like, I went on the Disney wants me to be in a superhero diet.
Yes. And it must have been so satisfying for everyone that loves to see that type of skin pulled tightly around toned abdominal muscles when he's in the jail. Oof. And he gets that orange mud shower wash down and he walks in. Even I was a bit taken aback by that. Yeah,
he was looking good.
Yeah.
Looking very good.
Yeah, good on him. Bit of hair on his chest and he could have been Wolverine.
Yeah, well, his whole character in this film is like, he's essentially just playing like Han Solo, and Marty McFly, like just those like real 80s movie guys. Like, because that's his entire personality is based off all of the things that he consumed when he was
goofy,
a kid.
Yeah.
So like that's the only references that he has, which is why he's just constantly talking about Ark of the Covenant and Ninja Turtles and
hold on, Ninja Turtle,
Footloose and Kevin Bacon. It's just it's too much fun. The writing is just so good. Like, James Gunn and Nicole Perlman just absolutely floored it with this film. They did so well.
And he has incredible, I say this a lot about every comedic actor that I love, incredible comedic timing, which every comedy actor has to have. His delivery is just perfect and on point every time, even with pauses in his sentences. There's one where they're escaping from the prison and he says, I always keep my promises when I make them to big muscly guys that'll threaten to kill me if I don't. Like, just beautiful, laboured, drawn out points that he makes.
Yeah. I love when he meets Gamora for the first time after he tried to sell the orb, and the guy with the eyebrows does it. He's like, I don't want any part of this transaction is when Ronan is involved. And he like pushes him out and closes the door. And he's like, hey, we had a deal, bro. And then looks over at Gamora and then is like, the man just backed out of a deal on me. If there's one thing I hate, it's a man without integrity. Hi, I'm Peter. My friends call me Star-Lord.
I love how he's so nonchalant, just tossing the orb, chucking it around, which I guess was a massive part about this. Make sure that he doesn't know what's in the orb. No one knows. They just treat it as a bit of a, it's an expensive ball thing. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's that orb, like, is so cool. It just, the word Infinity Stones hadn't been said yet in a Marvel film. I'm going to have the Marvel junkies come at me. I know that it was in a post-credits scene of Thor: The Dark World. Okay, I'm not an idiot. There's a scene in that film where the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro in this film, is given one of the Infinity Stones, and it's the Ether from Thor: The Dark World. And he's 1 down, 5 to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is the first, like, in the film, is the first time that the Infinity Stones are mentioned when we see the orb, which I have one here.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
If
we just did that.
For the people on the YouTube, I've actually got the power orb, and it...
What? Be careful, don't touch it.
It's got the power stone inside of it.
Awesome. If you want to end the podcast now, just take it out. Show me.
just hold it in my hand. Oh god, it's not going to go back together. There we go.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That is very cool.
I love that. One of my prized possessions. It used to glow. The crystal inside of it used to glow. but the batteries must have run out and I can't be bothered replacing them.
Use the same batteries Peter Quill uses in his Walkman.
I should. The infinite Walkman batteries.
That would last forever.
Yeah.
Did Benicio del Toro play the Collector in that post-scene credit in the
yes,
Dark?
and that
Dark
scene,
Knight? No, Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World.
The Dark World, yeah, Thor: The Dark World.
That scene was also directed by James Gunn.
Oh, and how long before Guardians of the Galaxy was Thor: The Dark World?
A couple of years.
Wow. Okay.
I think. Oh no, it might have been the year before, 2013. Yeah, it would have been 2013. So it was the year before it came out.
Okay. Well, that's two post-credit scenes that Benicio del Toro as the Collector is in.
Yes.
More about that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. To that in a bit.
All right.
Terrence is a fan.
Yes, kind of. Yep, I love him.
He's great. You said you liked Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
You know, Jeff Goldblum's character in that is the Grand Master.
Yes.
He is in the comics. The Grand Master and the Collector are brothers.
Both overly eccentric, wanting anything that they want in the world type people. Yep.
So they are millions of years old, those characters. And so obviously being alive for that long does some weird things to you, and yeah, so they are millions of years old, and they're brothers, which is kind of cool.
That is very cool. That's cool. Only you would only know that from the comics, right?
Yeah, there's no reference to it in the movies.
All right. Sorry, just
when you clacking away.
Yeah, I got some notes here, and they just kind of updated on me. Doing a weird thing. I'm just making sure I got them back again.
No, that's fine.
All right. What's next on our little things to continue to talk about? James Gunn features heavily.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I've spoken about him a lot. He's just so good.
But,
he's worth the praise. And without him, the Marvel Cinematic Universe looks so different. So yeah, forever thankful for that.
Injected fun into the MCU.
Yeah,
I like speaking in cool acronyms.
I love my acronyms; they're the best.
Yeah, lots of love.
I'd love to talk about why specifically this film means so much to me.
All right,
because there's some history here which I'd love to talk about. Again, I might put this in a time code below, but it's a cool story. So I was working at a cinema at the time that this film came out, and the cinema that I was working at had only just opened. Like, it was opening night for the cinema was opening night for this film, and it was the Queensland premiere of the movie. So it was like 2 weeks before, or a week before it was due to come out, like worldwide in the US, worldwide and in the US, because I think its release date was like the 8th of the 8th, 2014. And
is that because 8 is like an infinity symbol?
No, I don't know why.
I do.
It was just a good release date. But the premiere was happening on the 31st of July, which was so stupid early, and it was a huge event. And I was working it, so I didn't see the film, but I was working it, so I got to rub shoulders with a bunch of people that were there. No celebrities from the film or anything, but no, like none of them. But it was just so much fun. And I ended up sneaking a couple of friends in to see it who were like huge fans of the film. I just gave them one of the tickets. I messaged them, quick, come down now, and now's your chance, and got them in. There was spare seats, so it was fine.
You're gonna get in trouble, Leigh.
No, it's fine. I'm sure the statute of limitations has ended on me sneaking people into Guardians of the Galaxy 6 years ago.
6 years is still illegal.
But no, I ended up like working at the cinema. I saw this film. I saw it 6 times. I've got ticket stubs here from 4 of the times that I went to see it. So these are all different dates. All the Guardians of the Galaxy ones, which was super fun.
I don't disbelieve that you saw it 6 times.
Yeah, I know.
That is very cool.
It was the first film that I'd seen that many times in the theater. I kept going back to it. It was so cool, yeah. It was just the characters that kept drawing me back, and the world was just so incredible and hilarious, but it's full of heart as well. And so yeah, I saw it countless times. But what was really cool about working in the cinema was having people come in and ask, "Oh, what should I see?" And like, "Oh, well, what have you heard about?" You're asking the questions, and they're like, "Oh, I don't normally like sci-fi movies and whatever." But you would always recommend Guardians of the Galaxy, or they'd have it recommended by other people, by their friends, or they've seen it online. Like, the word of mouth for this film was huge, and every single person that went in to see it that I spoke to, when they came out, if they had like no expectations for it, like they thought they were going to hate it, they came out and they were like, "I would do anything for Groot." It's like, I love Rocket Raccoon. How is this movie so good? It was just so much fun to see the looks on people's faces as they left the theater with this whole new appreciation for this comic book film that they would have never experienced otherwise. It was really cool.
Such a great connection to the characters that they were able to create, which I think is something that was missing in the earlier films. The only way you as a moviegoer would appreciate what the characters were going through was if you knew them already from their comics.
Yeah.
You had to be a fan of Thor to appreciate him. I loved him because it's Chris Hemsworth, and I think Australia did, and it's like great way to capture a market, get a really cool Aussie to play a character, but I didn't know what type of character Thor was until I saw Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, he is cool. And then after that, I thought, I got to watch the other ones. And I watched Thor: The Dark World. And I went, I'm glad I saw Ragnarok first. Because I may not have wanted to watch any other Marvel films after that.
Yeah, we don't talk about Thor: The Dark World very often.
But sometimes it's needed in the story. I mean, I did see Iron Man first.
There's some good stuff in there,
Marvel
and it's
film.
by no means a bad film. But it's like when the cream at the top is just so thick and delicious.
Yeah.
Sometimes the milk you don't want to drink, even though it's nice.
Oh, look at you with your analogies. This film had beautiful characters. All the characters were relatable. All of them brought their own level of humor. They had their own agendas, and they all intertwined perfectly to create this really nice motley crew that you fall in love with and want on your side.
Yeah,
and I
the
think
motley crew is a good call.
Yeah, that was a big win. You know, whenever you have that situation, it's gonna work. There's your Scooby-Doo writing coming in. Maybe that's why you loved it, getting the crew together.
I love that you've just stuck on this Scooby-Doo thing. I should never have mentioned it. He just wrote the script, by the way. He didn't have anything to do with the film other than that.
Oh, he just wrote the thing. That's nothing much. Nah, writers don't mean anything for films.
But I'm glad that you connected with these characters, because the actors did as well. Like Dave Bautista as Drax the Destroyer. Who would have thought that an athlete, a wrestler, would be able to pull off a performance this well? And you can see his acting has gotten better. Like when you watch Volume 2 or you watch Avengers Infinity War, like his character does evolve and he becomes better as a performer. But like this as like a breakout role for him was just incredible. And he loves this character and loves James Gunn and loves being in these films. And he's in the entire crew and cast that he works with. He was so thankful when he got the role that he burst into tears, and he had to go through like 5 hours of makeup to put his whole thing on, and then like a couple of hours at the end of the day to take it off. But he never once complained. He was so thankful to be doing this job and playing this character. He's so grateful for it, and it's wonderful because he is genuinely hilarious and has some of the best lines. Did not see that coming when I saw the film for the first time.
I didn't know who he was. He's a pro wrestler, right? So
yeah.
The acting part of it, he's no stranger to that. He's a professional performer, but maybe this role just would have gelled with him perfectly anyway. He just plays muscle. But there's a beautiful backstory. Well, a horrific backstory, but one that allows him to connect with the audience. Again, that was beautiful. So the fact that they layered his character with these brilliant one-liners that he just had to deliver as deadpan was just perfect.
They love that they gave him, like, there's a lot of character depth there as well. Like whenever there's chaos happening on screen, like he's so full of joy. Like in the prison when the riot starts and he sees
Comes alive.
He just starts smiling and laughing and hitting everything. He picks up the gun and yells out to Rocket, "Creepy little beast!" Throws up the gun to him. And I'm more thinking of the scene where they fly the ship, the Milano, into Ronan's
and he's in the back.
ship, and he's just manically laughing.
He's a kid on a ride. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just turning around looking at him like, oh my god, what are we doing with this maniac?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, again. Well, that's what I would expect him to do as soon as it stops. Yeah, really cool. I love also in the jail, he's a known entity. People know who he is. I mean, he is a prisoner already. Right? That's where we meet him, right? He's already in prison.
He's there.
But they know who he is. I think with characters that have notoriety, there's a really nice sense of, what's it called when... I don't know. There's a bit of adoration there, especially when they involve themselves with the group that you're already involved with. So you're happy to have him on your side. And then you've got that total opposite with Quill. He's Star-Lord. He's trying to make himself, notable in the world. He's like, they call me Star-Lord. Like, no.
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a nice touch.
And how the what are the good guys, the good planet that Glenn Close is in, the Nova Corps. The Nova Corps. How John C. Reilly's character, pays him out. What does he call him?
Star Prince.
Star Prince, yeah. Very cool.
Oh, come on, man. It's Star-Lord. Oh, sorry, Lord.
They have a really nice back and forth as well.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see John C. Reilly in a role that is not just zany and
he looked like he was having fun.
Sidekick. Having a lot of fun. The character is his character. He owns it in itself. He often plays a part that is another half of a bigger part, if you know what I mean. But he's Wreck-It Ralph as well, So
love Wreck-It Ralph.
He's got this likability, this immediate likability. So I think he was really well cast in this minor role that he had.
Everyone does so well. I hope he survived.
Yeah.
As in the later films, that planet gets decimated. We don't see it on screen. It's in Infinity War. You've seen Avengers Infinity War, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they mention it off screen. They're like, when Thanos got the Power Stone, he decimated Xandar.
He got what?
Yeah. Spoilers for the third highest grossing film of all time.
Which I have not seen. I haven't seen End War. I haven't seen Endgame. I haven't seen Infinity War.
We'll get there.
And you know what? I was going to watch it. And then when we decided to do this, I thought, I'll watch it. I'll watch it now at some point through this excursion of life. We'll see.
Through the podcast. Yeah, they will definitely appear on the calendar. I can spoil that now.
And look, I've got lots of questions about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm not going to put them out here. I think just given the time that we're at, we're going to have a lot of time to do that in later episodes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm not going to delve into that. I'd love to start talking about some other stuff as well. I'd love to start talking about not only the funny stuff, but what about the music?
Oh, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is so good. I literally just wrote on my piece of paper here, soundtrack with 5 exclamation points.
Yeah, put a 6th one there for me. Very, very cool. This is my kind of music. I love all this music. And where I work, when Guardians came out, I hadn't seen it. And at work, one of the guys would put this on for a week straight. And I'd walk into work and put my stuff away. I was thinking, this is good. Who put this on? This is an awesome taste. And people are like, oh, this is the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? This is a cool track from the 70s, the 80s. No, it's track 3. So I'm glad it brought a new audience to this, to these genres of music. What would you call the genre? What is this? of like most of the songs in this soundtrack.
The genre of music or the genre of film?
No, music.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not the music guy. I'm not the music person.
I don't know. I want to say some of this is classic R&B
Well,
stuff.
Star-Lord references them as... Because the tape is made by his mum, which I love that touch. Oh, I just hit the microphone in case anyone was wondering what that bang sound was.
I'll try and fix it.
Thank you. It's fine, leave it in. Otherwise, this won't make sense. I should just tap it some more, like the drums.
Like all of Oscar's lapping the water. Whenever you mention it, I think, oh, great,
right
now
at the
I've got
beginning.
to keep it in there.
Yeah. We could have... We were like 4 seconds in, we could have stopped and started again, but the show must go on.
So his mother makes the
mother makes the tape, and he says that my mother shared with me all of the favorite pop songs that she used to love.
Songs.
So I think they could be pop. Yeah, they could be known as pop and rock, and because you've got like Cherry Bomb in there, like that's very rock.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, what am I talking? Classic R&B. Well, he's like 70s and 80s anyway. But look, beautiful songs, really cool to bring back to life. The Ooga Chugga, what is it? I Can't Stop This Feeling. That's in this,
hooked on a feeling by Blue Swede.
That's part of this soundtrack, isn't it?
It absolutely is. That was the song. That was the song that dropped when the trailer for this film came out.
Really?
And if you haven't seen the trailer for this film for a while, the first trailer with this song, go and check it out. It is incredible, and it got all of the haters to be like, oh, okay, no, they know what they're doing, because there were so many people that were like, oh, is this going to be Marvel's first flop? Because to this point,
why are people waiting for things to fail in this world?
You know what it's like. People at the top of when you're at the top of the mountain, people will just want to throw stones at you.
Tall poppy syndrome, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Disney's at the top of the mountain, so people do that, and that's fine. I say, let people enjoy what they enjoy.
You know, this song, for the longest time, didn't have a really good... I felt really... what's the word? Naff when I heard the song. I don't know if that's an appropriate word to use for this, but this is now showing my age, but I was watching Ally McBeal.
Oh, the dancing baby.
On 90s television, and when the dancing baby came up and she hallucinated or whatever about this thing, it just played the Ooga Chugga, Ooga Ooga. That was all the time. And that was all you heard of the song. And I never realised it was a song because I never heard more than that. And then I hear it in Reservoir Dogs and as the full song.
Let's get a taco. I'm hungry. Let's get a taco.
Oh, incredible. And so I fell in love with the track again and was able to... Oh, yes. Nice. What is that? It's wrapped...
Yeah, it's in a plastic... It's a Reservoir Dogs poster.
It's a poster. Oh.
I picked up at a market like probably 7 years ago, and it's still in its plastic.
Oh man, that is beautiful. But Reservoir Dogs, when we talk about that soundtrack, unbelievable. I mean, any Tarantino film, brilliant soundtracks, but that gave me a new love for that piece of music. Yeah. And then to watch it in this again, I thought, oh great, now I've got 3 different references to it. I'm going to drop one of them off my radar. Now I'm just going to go back to enjoying that song. Yeah,
well, the trailer for this film put that song back in the charts. It was so popular. And
wow.
Excuse me, the album, Awesome Mix Volume 1, reached number 1 in the US 200 Billboard charts and was also nominated for a Grammy for Best Soundtrack, which is the first time that has ever happened to a film soundtrack that didn't have an original song made for the movie in it.
Wow. Lots of royalties for the artists, hopefully.
Oh yeah, it would have been payday for the people who made these songs.
Just to appear in a Disney film anyway. That's awesome. I think Bohemian Rhapsody has got to be the number 1 film for comeback stories when it appeared in Wayne's World.
Yeah.
For Queen, that hit number 1 again. But yeah, anyway, soundtrack was brilliant, and that's our introduction to Star-Lord as well, when he's kicking the space rats.
The best way just to set up the tone for the entire film, because it starts off with this, it's dark looming character, and he's got this helmet. Like, is he human? Is he an alien? Is he a robot? What's happening? Where is he? It's dark and it's raining and there's like geysers going off, and he's got this weird technology
hologram thing.
Yeah,
What is
And then
he
all of a
doing?
sudden, the helmet comes off and you see Chris Pratt, headphones on, click, ding, 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 ding. Dun, 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 and we are in, and we're like, oh, okay, this is what it's gonna be, and I'm on board.
Do you reckon he designed his own helmet?
Star-Lord, the character,
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, all right, now, why would you not put headphones into the thing?
I would say that he,
No.
for the nostalgic reasons, he's kept it separate.
Nostalgia, schmastalgia. You want to be able to listen to music when you're spacewalking.
Yeah,
Oh, that's all I'm saying.
fair.
Yeah, okay. Soundtrack, cool. Cool.
Incredible. James Gunn wrote the script whilst listening to the music. He would play the music on set during certain scenes as well. It was, a huge influence.
Get a vibe up and
Yep.
get the whole crew and cast in a really good mood.
He was asked in interviews, it's like, were there any songs that you wanted to put in that you couldn't get the licensing for? And his response is just, it's Disney, man. We got the money. Like, every song that I wanted appears in the film.
It makes me just want to write music, but since I can't do that, it makes me want to get rich so I can just buy my favorite music, the rights to it, I mean.
Exactly.
And then just pitch it to big films and get even richer.
Yeah,
Money's
that's
not
how you do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, the soundtrack
All right.
is fantastic. I'd love to talk about
Yes.
Vin Diesel for a second, who voices
Okay.
Groot.
He voices Groot, yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's the funniest kind of credit to have. Yes.
It's incredible. So his voice is just so perfect for this. The last time that he did voice work for a film was The Iron Giant, which is one of my favorite animated films. It's just so gorgeous, and he plays the Iron Giant in that, you know.
Right. Okay.
Superman. Oh gosh, makes me cry every time. Not that takes a lot to get me to do. I actually shed a tear watching this film this week. In a moment, that I'll talk about in a little bit. But we get to what about whens. But for Vin Diesel, this character was kind of it helped him of mourning the loss of his best friend, Paul Walker. So Paul Walker died a couple of years or a year or so. I'm not sure of the time frame exactly. I shouldn't guess. That's probably not an appropriate thing to do. But before this film came out, Paul Walker died in that horrible accident. And Vin didn't want to do movies for a while, and this character allowed him to kind of be with people again and deal with human emotions again. And so he's so connected with this character for that reason. It helped him to really process that traumatic event. And so, he's always got that connection with Groot. And whenever Groot says his famous line, "I am Groot," it always means something. It always means a different thing. And in his script, he's got the translated version of it. And so his three syllable "I am Groot" is like paragraphs of dialogue. It's just, like Groot would actually be making speeches. And he had to condense it all down. So he said the line literally thousands of times to get it right. So it wasn't a matter of he said it once and then went home. Like, he spent a long time in the recording studio getting it just right and developing the character. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
Wow. Well, that's good. That gives me a lot more respect for what went into voicing it. I always kind of laughed it off a little bit. I was like, how, we barely recognize Bradley Cooper as Rocket, but lots of lines. He's disguised his voice. He's put on the voice, characterized it. But the "I am Groot," I always thought, oh, come on. But that's really nice to know, and it gives so much more weight to the performance that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And
he would also
like backstory, very nice.
In the recording studio, he would be wearing stilts as well, so he would be standing as tall as Groot, and so he's really into it. Yeah, loves the character. So the character's species is called a flora colossus, I think. And so
Cool.
the vocal cords are restricted; they're not developed like a human beings are, and so that's why they're limited. But he's still an intelligent being and does communicate, but he can only do it with those three specific words. And I think that's sweet.
Which can be understood 100% by Rocket.
By Rocket, yeah, you can learn how to speak Groot.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Because in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you learn early on, they've all learned how to speak Groot, so they can all communicate with him.
Oh, good.
So he'll be in the back seat, and he'll go, "I am Groot," and everyone will be like, "Whoa, what's your language, man?"
It's kind of like Wookiee, right?
It is exactly like Wookiee. He is Chewbacca. Oh, what a
Yeah.
great way to do it.
Wow. Okay, cool. Except the fur was easier to animate because it was bark and didn't move so much.
Yeah.
Costume design. I'm going to stop there. All right.
No, just the design of the characters is great, and Bradley Cooper as voicing Rocket, so
Yeah.
good.
Such
Do you know?
attitude.
Did you see the inspiration for his voice for this role?
No.
He based it off Joe Pesci from Goodfellas.
Angry little guy. Very cool.
Exactly, little man syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
And you can hear it in the performance if you go back and watch it, which you will every year on a date
Yeah,
to
I'll
be
have to do
announced very soon.
Yes.
Yeah, just think Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, or just Joe Pesci in real life.
Even in Home Alone, in any film that he's in.
Oh, I love Home Alone.
Yep. Angry little
So
man.
good.
I
Yep.
like it. All right, who's next? Groot, Rocket.
We did Drax, Star-Lord.
Drax. Oh,
so
so
Gamora
good.
is the only one left.
Can I do a Drax quote?
Yes, please. Please do a Drax quote.
You know the beginning of it when
I
something
think I
goes
know
over
exactly.
his head.
I tell you what, I'm just gonna. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna set it up, and I think I've got the right one. But yeah, it's
I know.
when
Yep.
he Star-Lord says something, and he goes, "He's not gonna." Rocket's like, "He's not gonna understand that. His people are completely literal. Metaphors just go over his head."
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it. There you go. How was that?
It's so good.
Good Drax. Good
I love
Drax.
it.
I even look like him. Like my shoulder muscles are as buoyant as his. Why would I run my finger across his neck?
What? No. It's a symbol. It's a symbol for you slicing his neck.
I don't know the rest. I would cut it off.
I would
cut his head
not
off.
Slice his throat. I would cut his head clean off. It's just a symbol. It's a general expression for killing someone. You know this, right? Yeah. No.
No.
So good. Oh, the
that's
script
good.
is so wonderful.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about another character? Because there are some good Star-Lord funnies too.
I was gonna. Well, yeah. Gamora is the only one I haven't
Gamora.
touched on.
Let's
There's
go,
not too
Gamora.
much. There's not too much backstory for the performance of Gamora, other than the fact that I think it's hilarious that Zoe Saldana has played a whole bunch of different women in space. So there's this. She plays Ahura in Star Trek, and she is also. Is it Neytiri? Why doesn't that sound right? In Avatar, she plays the love
Yes.
interest in Avatar. Is it Neytiri?
I don't know, but she is in Avatar and is the female lead in Avatar.
I'm gonna get. Yeah.
Do each of
eaten up
these
online.
characters have
Doesn't
different coloured skin? She's got green skin in Guardians,
Blue skin
blue
and
in
her
Avatar.
yeah, and her brown black skin. For,
Okay.
For Star Trek, yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm thinking what her sister, her stepsister. Is it her stepsister? Like
Yeah.
Thanos's.
Oh, I love
Sisters,
Nebula
right?
so much. Karen Gillan.
Yeah. So I realized she's in Jumanji, the new Jumanji films.
Yeah. Doctor
well.
Who is where she got her big break. She was in Doctor Who.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
look, they have some pretty powerful roles. I like when it seems to be that Marvel is casting a lot of female warrior characters and assassins. I like that. I like that a lot because the male leads are really what's the word? It's like the female leads tower over them, but silently and subtly. But they're so much stronger in every way. Often that's the case.
So much more in charge and in command of themselves than like. There's so many. Like, besides Captain America, there's so many... Every male hero in the MCU it's father and son dynamics that are, you know, Iron Man and his dad, and Thor and his father, and Star-Lord and his dad eventually. Like, it's just... Yeah, it's all father trauma from fathers and sons. So, yeah, it's nice to see a bunch of strong female characters. And they have that too. Like, both Gamora and Nebula are the daughter of Thanos. So there's a lot to unpack there. Like, they're not biological daughters. They've been families slaughtered and taken and brainwashed and all that horrible nonsense.
But I like how they both hate him.
Yes, which
I do like that.
You understand. You get a lot more character development for them in the future films, and it's awesome. Nebula is one of my favorite characters in the MCU.
She there's a bit with Thanos where he says, you know, they say they've got Gamora, or they send Gamora, my favorite daughter, or something like that. And she's there. She goes, thanks,
you alienated my favorite daughter, Gamora.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Sounds fair. Wow. Struts off. She's so cool.
Yeah. You know, one of the coolest weapons in this film is it Yondu?
Yondu?
Oh,
the
arrow.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is awesome.
So in the comics, comics, he's got a bow and arrow is his weapon of choice, and so they updated it and made it more spacey and cool for this film, and it's wicked.
At the scene where he just gets all the guys, they all surround him when he crash lands on whatever planet. And they start to come at him, and just
gets everyone.
That was incredible.
So good. Catches the arrow back in the holster.
I like that. That's a scary weapon. That one.
Very powerful.
Yeah,
I mean, that weapon actually makes for one of the best post-credit sting jokes in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's so funny. I can't wait for you to see it.
Okay. I just keep thinking, what if he had lots of chips and had a really salty mouth, and then was in danger? He'd be like, no, damn it!
He has to
Get the thing
avoid
out and chuck it.
Avoid them constantly. Saltines can't do it.
Run away! You got some water? Yeah. That was so I really liked the design of that weapon, like the thought to come up with that. That was very, very cool. I like that.
Yeah, very clever. Now, you said you wanted to go into some Star-Lord funnies. I think it might be a good idea to jump into What About When. Do you think you'd be able to roll them into What About When? Because we're running there. We're running there super quick.
Oh, What About When? One of them's rude, and I'm gonna use blocking technology in the like whenever you see a film and they have to censor something, I'm going to use the blocking sensors.
So we're in What About When now?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect. So we are in What About When. We didn't receive any contributions this week, which kind of took us for a little bit as a surprise, even though we're not the biggest podcast in the world. In fact, very much quite far from it. But no, this film has such a large fan base and love for it. We thought we would have got something, so we've covered our bases, and we're going to do What About When's this week. If you would like to reach out for this one, the best way to do it is on Instagram or Twitter. Use the hashtag #WhatAboutWhen so that we can see it. Or you can email us as well. Our email is themoviecal@gmail.com, and we are at themoviecal everywhere else. Links to all of these in the description below. But here we are for hashtag #WhatAboutWhen for Guardians of the Galaxy. Terrence, would you like to start us off with a rude one?
What about when the Guardians of the Galaxy get captured on the planet, the Good People planet? Or I can't remember what it's called, where Glenn Close is...
Nova.
Nova? Just
yep.
Nova? Yep.
Xandar.
Xandar. They get captured on Xandar, and one by one we go through their profiles, a bit of storytelling, a bit of backstory here, and they go in the kind of lineup. And they say this is this person, and this is Peter Quill, Star-Lord or whatever, and he is there doing this one. Sorry, I didn't know how this machine worked. I just thought
the best one
classic.
is when he's like in the background, they're still talking, and you see he tries to pull it down and it flicks back up, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, like it's up now. I can't do anything.
Can't operate this thing. Where's the instruction manual?"
Yeah,
I love that bit. That was great. That had me in stitches.
That was the first day of shooting, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because they had been shooting for a week, and they were going to Comic-Con with footage. People were like, "You've been shooting for a week. How do you have footage to bring of Guardians of the Galaxy, this huge sci-fi special effects epic?" And they brought that scene of him doing that and Gamora, just the lineup of the characters. Brilliant, excellent.
But that had a lot of CGI in it too. So
yeah, they were able. They must have
that.
had previs stuff that they brought. Yeah.
Well, they're Disney, right? They
Yeah,
can afford
exactly.
it.
Just throw money at it until it looks good.
Get your team onto this. That was really nice. I like how they did that lineup too. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. It's a brilliant way to do an exposition dump.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Oh,
Should we do
so
one
I
for one
do.
again?
I've got all of my hashtag what about whens are Groot related. So, except for the last one. But yeah, so I've got 5. So I'm gonna rattle through them. I'll do one and then we'll jump back. So I've got, what about when Groot grabs the battery in the prison and everything goes into chaos?
Oh, that's great.
That was
kind
so
of a
funny.
classic scene, that one now.
Yeah,
That's good. And Rocket's like, so make sure we do the battery last because, we need to... Yep.
Yeah,
I like that.
Classic. And then just the way he kind of hands out, like, look, I did it. I got it. And they're like, oh, God, all right. Looks like we get it first and improvise.
He's so proud. He's like a Labrador. He's just this big, harmless dog that wants to just do anything for his owners. Yeah.
His personality was actually
lovable.
based off of James Gunn's dog.
Oh, and is his dog a golden retriever or a Labrador? Probably. I'm going to say yes.
I don't know.
I'm going to say it is. James Gunn, correct me if I'm wrong. Challenge accepted. That's what James Gunn would say.
You another what about when?
All right. What about when... Oh, man. Oh, I did my Drax one already. Why did I do that earlier?
Was it the nothing goes over my head?
Nothing
My
goes over
reflexes
my
are too
head.
fast. I would catch it.
Yeah. And the finger across the neck one as well.
So good.
Sorry, I didn't know how this machine worked. You know what? What about when he starts dance fighting in front of
That's the dance
Ronan?
battle.
The dance battle. He's
Dance
like,
off, bro.
What are you doing?
Me and you.
I like that. And in the same scene, another one about what about when they get Ronan monologuing?
Oh, yeah.
As soon as he started monologuing, I'm like, oh, they got him monologuing. He's gonna die.
Yeah. That was a cool moment. I've got another Groot one.
Yeah.
What about when Groot impales the enemy soldiers with his arm and then starts flinging them around the room and then again turns back to everyone with that giant puppy dog smile on his face going, I did good.
Such a sweet smile. So good. And he's just killed, maimed, massacred about 30 people in 5 seconds. Yay! He's
So
just
cute.
his hand was like a shish kebab. It's like
Yeah.
Terminator 2.
There's a reference. I think there's another Terminator reference in the film. And I only caught it when I watched it for the first time this week. And it's when it's very small. When Nebula is hanging off the structure.
Yeah.
And she breaks her own hand and falls down onto the ship. She like smashes into the window of the ship and goes, "Get out!" and throws the guy out. Which could very much be a Terminator 2 reference, where the T-1000 goes into the helicopter and goes, "Get out!" and the guy jumps out of the helicopter.
Really?
I think so. I think that'd be a Terminator reference for sure, because that's a there's a get out in the first Terminator as well. Arnie says it to someone.
Wow.
And in the truck, I think he gets in a truck and says, "Get out."
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't see that. It's been years since I've seen Terminator. Okay.
I have seen this film dozens of times. It was the first time I caught it.
Yeah. Actually, I have another. But what about when we see Chris Pratt's body?
Oh,
This shot. He's just this monster. Camera's low,
Beast.
and he just, I'm just gonna strut here in prison with these new pecs and abs. Yeah.
that Disney
and they
has
wash
paid
them.
for.
They wash them down with orange mud. What kind of shower is that?
I think it's to de-lice them.
Oh yeah, the delousing agent. Yes.
Yeah.
That wasn't really my what about when. I was just glancing at my notes quickly, and I had it, and I remembered when I was saying it that I'd already spoken about it. But I did
can
also
do
mention I love Chris Pratt.
What about when Groot sends the fireflies out into the air to light the room?
Pretty.
It's a really sweet moment. Looks stunning, and the beautiful piano score that just amplifies how sweet that moment is.
Yeah. What?
I've only got two
a
more.
nice moment, and they even ask him like, "When did you learn to do this?" I like that.
That's actually a very sneaky nod to the comics. That line.
Really?
Yeah, because nowhere before had Groot been shown in the comics to have this ability. And so James Gunn thought the best way to do it was to just call it out and have Drax go, "When did you learn how to do that?"
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. There's a moment with Drax as well where, I guess it's a little what about when, no, not maybe, I don't know. He goes back into the prison. Quill goes back into the prison to get his tape, his Walkman, and he comes back into the ship, and Drax says like, why did you go back? And he goes, this. And Drax does something I can't remember.
He's praising him for how heroic he was going back in there, and he's like, "You will make a keen ally in battle. Tell me, comrade, like, what is it that you were retrieving?" And he hands him the Walkman. "You're an imbecile."
Great line, but how did Drax know what it was? He wouldn't have had any idea what it was.
Yeah.
I have my what about when that we were mentioning earlier, but it might be fitting if it becomes the last what about when, because of where it is in the film.
Being the last thing in the film.
Yeah.
One of the last things.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one more Groot what about when, and then we can do that one.
All right, good.
My last Groot what about when is the sad one. And it's what about when Groot sacrifices himself to save his friends?
He makes this tree orb around them.
Yep. This little structure to keep them safe while the ship crashes. And sacrifices himself with the line, "We are Groot." It's so sad.
It's really sad. When I said that, a tree orb, I thought, isn't that weird? Because he makes this sphere, and they show a wide shot of it, and they're glowing inside because he makes the little glowy things happen again. And this orb contains the most powerful thing in the galaxy at the time that are going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Inside of it. And then they bust out of it, and then they become Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Is that it? Can we do that?
They get birthed. Reference? They get birthed out of.
Yeah. Oh, well done, Terrence. Well done, Terrence. You've
Good job. You figured it out.
Seen the metaphor that was intended.
Right. But no, it's really sad because people are like, "Oh, he didn't really die because he comes back at the end." That's not Groot. That's a completely different beings. That's like Groot's son, essentially. The Groot that we knew and loved from the first Guardians is gone. He's dead. Which is quite sad. Like I said, the new one has a different personality entirely.
Yeah, well, you could see that at the end when I think just when the credits start and when Drax is reading the paper,
sharpening his knife. Close. You are very close.
He is in touch with topical things of the era, and the little Groot is dancing, bopping away. I like that. And then he looks at, and it stops. That was sweet. I think that was when you realize this is a different Groot. This is not Groot.
Very different Groot.
Yeah, that was nice.
But yeah, the last what about when I had, which made me tear up. I don't think I'd cried at it before until now. I just must be getting more of a sensitive softie in my in my older aging years now.
Yeah.
Somewhere in my
late 20s.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be constantly in my late 20s. I think that's a good idea.
We're both 20s.
We're both in our late 20s. Terrence in his really late 20s.
Yeah.
And it's when Quill reads the birthday card or the card from his mum when he opens up the present for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's reading the card and the way that she signs off and calls him my little Star-Lord, and it just hit me. I'd completely forgotten about it, and I was like, it's the reason why he calls himself Star-Lord is so that he can just hold on to his mother a little bit. And it just hit me in the right way. I was in the right mood, and I didn't openly sob, but shed a tear. It was a really sweet moment. And then of course opening the present to see Awesome Mix Volume 2 in there, a whole new catalogue of songs for the sequel to be able to play.
Yeah,
and was really cool.
Does it finish on... Well, that's how it leads into that scene with Drax and the new little baby Groot, where that is now playing in the ship's tape deck. Yeah, that's nice. And really good at the beginning of the film where she says, your father was an angel or something like that, where they allude to him actually not being from this world. Like
composed of pure light.
Yeah, really nice. And
there were so many speculations after this movie came out as to who his father was. Like so many, and nobody was right.
And when Yondu gets back on the ship after they split, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, glad we didn't take him back to his dad.
Yeah,
my ears pricked up then. Oh, what? That's right. Yeah. That's right. Because I'd seen this
film
already.
That guy was a jackass.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, my last what about when is a weird one, which I wasn't ready for. I totally forgot because I did see it the first time I watched the film as well.
Okay.
And it was really
hit me.
Cool. It is in the post-credit scene.
Oh, yes.
The Collector is sitting there after the explosion of the Infinity Stone. Which stone was it?
The Power Stone.
The Power Stone.
Yeah, so we'd seen 4 Infinity Stones at this point.
Okay.
And the Power Stone.
Do they all do that if you hold it with your bare hands? Do they all explode and kind of thing?
No, the Power Stone does this. This is
the Power Stone, so it does that. Lots of power. And he's sitting there all frazzled and, lamenting the damage. And he's like, oh, man.
Drinking his cocktail.
And then you see this weird alien being also sipping a martini or something. I can't remember what he says, but it's Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people that I actually know that have seen this film would know that is Howard the Duck. I remember watching Howard the Duck.
Oh, man.
I'm going to say in the 80s.
I've never seen it.
I rented this film. I was able to... We had a video shop. It wasn't a Blockbuster. It was some local neighborhood video shop that rented them $6 for an overnight, which is pretty much still what you get rentals for now, physical rentals with the DVD vending machines. And it was just this weird space thing with this duck alien that comes down and the Marty McFly's mother in Back to the Future. She's the actor who plays the love interest of this duck, and she's in a band, and it is so weird. And it was unbelievable that this was a reference. I thought, what is going on with this? Yeah. So it must be some sort of big, fandom thing that I'm guessing.
James Gunn loves the character.
There we go. And so I looked, just out of nostalgia, I looked up Howard the Duck, and I saw, now look, you have to correct me if I'm wrong here, and it might be totally way off. I used the internet for this. I didn't fact check it, but I thought it was really interesting that Howard the Duck was made by Lucas. What's his first name? George Lucas. Was made by George Lucas. And he thought he could make another great film, and and it was
bombed.
totally a bomb. It got like Raspberry Awards and all this, the Razzies or whatever they're called. And this film nearly sent him bankrupt, and he was either selling assets or getting ready to sell assets, and he was going to get rid of his animation division. Steve Jobs came along, and I think they were friends or acquaintances, and they were friends, and Steve said, you know what, I'll buy your animation arm. I can't remember the name of it, and he paid for more than what it was worth because of their friendship, and that animation company then became Pixar.
Pixar,
as we
yeah.
know it today, or its first iteration of Pixar. So I thought that was just really, really cool.
Unreal. So without Howard the Duck, there might not be Pixar as we know it.
Right. And I guess the affiliation with Disney there comes full circle with Marvel, Disney. I don't know. But I thought that was just a nice little tidbit to throw in. Please, if you're listening to this and you know that I'm incorrect, please let us know. But yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting little fact.
Interesting. Yeah, that's
No
really cool.
idea what Howard the Duck has to do with anything Marvel related, apart from the collector collecting weird beings from the entire universe.
He's a Marvel comic book character. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's a Marvel comic. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. That's how they were able to put him in.
Yeah, unreal.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah, he says the dog comes up and licks the collector's face, and you just hear in the background like, "You let him lick your face like that? Gross." I think voiced by Seth Green, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he's
cool.
He's in the sequel as well for a short scene, and he also appears for the keen-eyed viewers in the final battle in Avengers Endgame as well. You can see him if you pause on the right frame.
Howard the Duck? Are you serious?
Yeah, he comes out. It's so great.
Man.
But no, we're going to move right along out of our What About Whens and jump straight into the main event. We're going to be hitting on the movie calendar, but before we get there, I just want to say a very special thank you to one of our listeners and watchers who sent us an email this week. Tobias, thank you so much, mate. It's really nice to hear from you every time. Anyone who sends us an email, we really appreciate it. And he sent us a list of a bunch of films that he loves that he would love to see appear on the movie calendar, and I've already responded to the email at this point, so he knows this. But I just want to say it here on the record that there's a bunch of movies that you put on there that we are absolutely going to put on the calendar.
Yeah.
In fact, Terence and I have already spoken about them before we even got the email, so you've got great taste in your films there. Yeah. But no, thank you. We're really glad that you're enjoying the show. We're loving doing it. It's super fun. I'm having a blast, and I hope Terence is as well. I'm sure he is.
Yeah, it's all right. All right. I'm still here, aren't I?
You are. We'll see how long we go for.
Yeah.
No, we're excited to keep going. And that certainly helps out. So yeah, huge thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and a big invite to other people as well. Our email's there. Please let us know any thoughts, if you've got feedback, if you've got some great ideas. Please write to us. We're not inundated so much that we can't get to everyone, and when we do, we will still try to get to everyone.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
We'll do our best. At the moment, we're in our own little bubble, so we'd love to get some contributions and some feedback. It's how we're going to get better. All right, so back into the main event, to the movie calendar. So the date that we have chosen this week is going to be, for Guardians of the Galaxy, March 10th. Now, there is a reason for this, and I don't know whether I want to say it or not, or whether I should say, check out the card that's going to appear above Terence's screen for the Iron Man episode, where we explain why Marvel Cinematic Universes go on certain dates of the calendar. You'll probably be able to figure it out, but it is the 10th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so you should probably be able to figure it out from there. Mm-hmm. Should I explain it, Terence, or should we let people go on a journey of discovery?
If you said that to me and I was listening, I would say I have no idea, and I'm not going to research it. Just tell me.
Fair enough. So because it's the 10th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for people who want to watch the Marvel movies every single year, because I know that they're out there, I'm one of them. We put Iron Man in early January, I think on the 6th of January, so it appears in the first week. So say the Incredible Hulk, which we will not be putting on the calendar, would appear in the second week of the movie calendar. So you can watch it then. So I think the date is between kind of the 5th or 6th of March to the 11th, I think is the 10th week of the year. So we thought it would be appropriate to put Guardians of the Galaxy in the 10th week, which would be then. And I had to pick a date in the 7 days, so I went with the 10th because it seemed appropriate.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. I think you're showing great restraint to not put every single Marvel film on the movie calendar, Lee.
Yeah, they're not all calendar worthy.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
But I guess this gives a little bit of a precursor as to whenever we do a Marvel film, maybe you'll have a better idea of when it might go. But yeah,
I looked so hard for any kind of connection between the movie and this week of the year. I looked at all of the cast's birthdays. I looked at when they made like their first films, and I couldn't find one. So that was the date that we came up with.
Wow, dedication.
Yep.
You should have called me because and asked me, because I was talking to Chris Pratt the other day, and he mentioned, if ever you have a date set aside for anything that you might do hobby wise, why not? You know what I thought was really cool in this? I didn't talk about it before. One of the police guards from
the Nova Corps.
The Nova Corps. He is one of the other ones, not John C. Reilly, but the other guy who's in the little fighter ships who create that mesh.
I know who you're talking about.
When the ship pushes through,
Rocket.
He dies.
Peter Serafinowicz.
Yes, I'm glad you said it. I hope that's the right way to say it. Well, I love him in things that I've seen him in. Of course, in Shaun of the Dead. He has really nice cameo roles in lots of British television and films, and in the Cornetto trilogy, right? Is he in all of them?
He also plays the Tick as well. No, he's not in all the Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that then, because I was totally wrong. But he's in things like Black Books, which, is a Simon Pegg. Nick Frost is in Black Books in cameos as well. But he is also in Parks and Recreation. And he is in the episode of Parks and Recreation where Chris Pratt, Andy Maguire, makes a reference to him losing weight. And they're in London. And there are a couple of scenes. There's a scene where they're in the London Eye and they're talking, and his character is like, "Isn't it beautiful here? Don't you just marvel at all of the scenery here?" His character would never speak like that, so that was a cool reference. And then I found out that because they had such a great relationship shooting Guardians of the Galaxy, the two characters in Parks and Recreation get on like siblings, like long lost brothers that are just each other's best friends. It's just unbelievable. He plays a duke or something, it's just so sweet to watch and so good, and really nice to know that their relationship came from this film. That's really cool. Just wanted to mention that before.
What a nice little bookend to the episode. Thank you for that. Next week, as we know, we have been mentioning it for the entire month and before, is going to be Jordan Peele's directorial debut, Get Out. If you haven't seen it, now is the time. Check it out. Find it on a streaming service, or rent it or buy it on and available to you however you can. But get it in front of your eyes and ears. It's marvelous. And then come on back for that episode. Thank you very much, Terrence, for another good one. I'm glad to have another Marvel movie on the calendar. It won't be the last, and wasn't the first. If you want to check out Iron Man, it'll be up there for you to see. It's a really good episode, that one. Bit of a history of Marvel there too.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Well,
thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.